The transport ship broke through the purple clouds of Nexara Prime, and Jinho pressed his face against the small window. Below, he could see massive training grounds stretching across the planet's surface. Buildings made of strange metals reflected the light of two suns. This was it, the place where humanity would prove itself to the galaxy. "Nervous, Captain?" Yuna asked from the seat beside him. She was checking her medical supplies for the third time that morning. Jinho shook his head. "Just ready to get started." Behind them, the rest of the squad was unusually quiet. Taiho, who normally couldn't stop talking, was staring at his boots. Sora was cleaning her rifle with careful movements. Hyun, the youngest at 22 years old, kept glancing around at the other passengers on the ship. Those other passengers were aliens. Dozens of them. They came in all shapes and sizes. Some had scales, others had fur. Some walked on 2 legs, others on 4 or 6. Their skin colors ranged from deep blue to bright orange, but they all had one thing in common. They were all looking at the humans with the same expression: curiosity mixed with contempt. A large reptilian creature pushed past Jinho as the ship landed. It stood nearly 8 feet tall with dark green scales and yellow eyes. It didn't apologize. It just snorted and moved toward the exit ramp. "Friendly bunch," Taiho muttered. The 12 humans grabbed their gear and followed the crowd off the ship. The air outside was thin but breathable. The gravity felt lighter than Earth. Jinho took a few steps and felt like he could almost bounce. It was an odd sensation after spending his whole life under Earth's heavy pull. Hundreds of alien recruits were gathering in a massive courtyard. The humans stayed together, forming a small island in a sea of strange beings. Jinho counted at least 30 different species. Some were clearly warriors, built like tanks with thick armor plating. Others looked more delicate, with thin limbs and large eyes. A voice boomed across the courtyard. "Attention, recruits!" The crowd fell silent. The large reptilian from the ship stood on a raised platform. His scales seemed to shimmer in the double sunlight. He wore a uniform covered in medals and symbols. "I am Commander Kreeth of the Vorgan Empire. I oversee all training at this facility." His voice was deep and rough, like rocks grinding together. "You are here because your species has been accepted into the Galactic Coalition, but acceptance does not mean equality. Equality must be earned." Kreeth's yellow eyes swept across the crowd and stopped on the humans. His mouth twisted into what might have been a smile, showing rows of sharp teeth. "The training program lasts 6 standard weeks. You will be tested in combat, survival, endurance, and mental fortitude. Most of you will fail. In fact, 70% of recruits do not complete the program." He paused for effect. "Those who fail will return home in shame. Their species will be marked as unsuitable for military cooperation." A murmur ran through the crowd. Some aliens puffed up with pride. Others shifted nervously. "The humans," Kreeth continued, pointing directly at Jinho's squad, "are our newest members. They come from a small planet on the edge of the galaxy, a planet with no remarkable features, no extreme temperatures, no dangerous predators, just a simple, easy world." Several aliens laughed. Jinho felt his jaw tighten, but he kept his face neutral. Beside him, Taiho's hands curled into fists. "I expect the humans to fail within the first week," Kreeth said flatly. "They are small, weak, and soft, but we will give them the same chance as everyone else. That is the Coalition way." More laughter. Louder this time. Kreeth raised a clawed hand for silence. "Training begins at dawn tomorrow. You will be divided into barracks by species. Meals are provided 3 times per day in the main hall. Medical facilities are available, and you will need them. Questions?" No one spoke. "Good. Dismissed." The crowd broke apart. Aliens moved in groups toward different buildings. The humans followed signs pointing to their assigned barracks. As they walked, Jinho noticed other species giving them space, as if they might be contagious. Their barracks was a simple building with 12 beds, lockers, and a shared bathroom. It was clean but basic. The beds looked too small for someone like Tai-Ho, who was 6'3". "They think we're weak," Sora said quietly as she stored her rifle in her locker. "Let them think that," Jin-Ho replied. He sat on one of the beds and tested it. The mattress was hard. "We're not here to prove anything with words. We'll prove it with actions." "Did you see how light everything feels?" Ji-Ho asked. He was their communications specialist, a thin man with quick hands. "I feel like I could jump over that building outside." Yuna nodded. "The gravity here is definitely lower than Earth, maybe 0.7 or 0.8 standard. Our muscles are used to working against more resistance." "So we're stronger here?" Hyun's eyes lit up. "Relatively, yes," Yuna confirmed. "But don't get cocky. These aliens evolved on their own worlds. They have their own advantages." Tai-Ho bounced on his toes. "Still, this is going to be fun." They spent the rest of the day settling in and exploring the facility. The training grounds were enormous. There were obstacle courses, shooting ranges, combat arenas, and buildings labeled for various specialized training. Everything was built large to accommodate different species sizes. In the dining hall that evening, the humans attracted stares again. The food was strange, a mix of substances that supposedly provided nutrition for all species. It tasted bland but edible. Jin-Ho noticed that the aliens ate in distinct groups, separated by species. No one sat near the humans. "Look at them," Tai-Ho said quietly, nodding toward a table of Vorgans. "They're placing bets." Jin-Ho followed his gaze. Sure enough, the reptilian aliens were gesturing and making clicking sounds, pointing at different recruit groups. "Betting on who fails first," Sora guessed. "Probably betting we fail tomorrow," Ji-Ho added. Back in their barracks, as the twin suns set and the sky turned deep purple, the squad gathered for a final meeting. "Listen," Jin-Ho said, keeping his voice low. "Tomorrow starts hard. They want us to fail. They expect us to fail. Every alien out there thinks humans are the weakest species in the coalition." "So what do we do?" Hyun asked. Jin-Ho smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. It was the smile of someone who'd been underestimated their whole life and learned to use it as a weapon. "We show them what Earth makes. We show them what it takes to survive on a death world where everything, from the bacteria to the weather to the predators, is trying to kill you every single day. We show them that humans don't quit." The others nodded. "Get some sleep," Jin-Ho ordered. "Tomorrow we make humanity proud." Outside, in the alien darkness of Nexara Prime, the training grounds waited. Commander Kreeth sat in his office, reviewing the roster. His eyes stopped on the human names. He shook his head. 6 weeks was too long. He gave them 3 days at most. He had no idea how wrong he was. The alarm screamed through the barracks before dawn. Jin-Ho was already awake. He'd trained himself years ago to wake up before any alarm. Old habits from Earth's military didn't die easily. The 12 humans dressed quickly and headed outside. The air was cold, and the sky was still dark. Hundreds of alien recruits were gathering on the main training field. They looked miserable. Some were shivering. Others were making sounds that might have been complaining in their own languages. Commander Kreeth stood at the front, looking fresh and alert. "Welcome to Day 1. We begin with a simple warm-up, a 10-kilometer run around the perimeter. Nothing too difficult. You have 90 minutes to complete it. Those who fail go home today." Simple. Jin-Ho almost smiled. 10 kilometers in 90 minutes was barely jogging pace. But looking at the alien faces around him, he saw genuine fear. Maybe for them, this was actually hard. The starting horn blew. The mass of recruits surged forward. Aliens of all shapes pushed and shoved, trying to get ahead. Jin-Ho kept his squad together near the middle of the pack. No need to show off yet. The first kilometer was chaos. Larger aliens trampled smaller ones. Some species were clearly built for speed. shooting ahead like missiles. Others, heavy and armored, moved at a steady but slow pace. By kilometer 3, the field was spreading out. Jinho noticed something interesting. The fast aliens were slowing down. Their breathing was becoming labored. Some were already walking. "Captain," Yuna said, running easily beside him. "Are they okay?" "Some of them look really tired." She was right. A group of insect-like Klixar had stopped completely. Their antennae drooped, and they were making clicking sounds of distress. Several Vorgans, despite their impressive size, were breathing hard and clutching their sides. "Keep pace," Jinho ordered his squad. They were barely breathing hard. The run felt easy, almost too easy, like a morning jog back home. By kilometer 5, aliens were dropping like flies. Medical teams on hover carts were picking up collapsed recruits. The ones still running looked desperate, pushing their bodies beyond their limits. The humans, meanwhile, had barely broken a sweat. "This is weird," Taiho said. He wasn't even breathing hard. "Are we sure this is supposed to be difficult?" "Maybe it's the gravity," Jiho suggested. "We're used to Earth's pull. This planet's lighter." By kilometer 8, only about half the original runners were still moving. The humans had unconsciously drifted toward the front of the pack, not because they were trying to show off, but because their natural pace was faster than most aliens could maintain. A Vorgan soldier named Grath was running beside them. His scales were turning a darker shade of green, and his breathing sounded like a broken engine, but he was pushing hard, refusing to quit. "You... okay? Humans?" he gasped between breaths. "We're fine," Jinho replied. "You? This is brutal. How are you not dying?" Before Jinho could answer, Grath stumbled. His legs gave out, and he crashed to the ground. Without thinking, Yuna stopped and knelt beside him. "Keep going," Grath wheezed. "Leave me." "Not happening," Yuna said firmly. She checked his pulse, or whatever Vorgans had. "You're dehydrated and overheated. Breathe slowly." A medical cart arrived. As they loaded Grath onto it, he stared at Yuna with confusion. "Why, help enemy?" "You're not our enemy," Yuna said. "You're a fellow soldier." The humans completed the run in 72 minutes. They came in within the top 20 finishers. They could have gone faster, but they'd maintained a steady pace as a group. When they crossed the finish line, they were breathing normally, barely sweating. Commander Kreeth was watching them with narrowed eyes. He looked like he'd bitten something sour. Only 140 recruits out of 200 had completed the run. All 12 humans had finished, easily. The rest of the day was filled with obstacle courses, strength tests, and coordination drills. The pattern continued. What the aliens found challenging, the humans found manageable. Walls that aliens struggled to climb, humans scaled quickly. Weights that made aliens strain, humans lifted with controlled effort. It wasn't that the humans were naturally stronger or faster than all aliens. Some species were definitely more powerful. But the humans had something else: endurance, consistency, the ability to keep going when their bodies screamed to stop. By the end of day 3, 50 more recruits had quit. None of them were human. Day 5 brought a new challenge: sleep deprivation training. "You will remain awake for the next 48 hours, Kreeth announced. "During this time, you will continue all normal training activities: combat drills, strategy sessions, physical exercise, no sleep, no rest." The aliens looked horrified. The humans looked at each other and shrugged. They'd all pulled longer shifts than this during Earth's military training. The first 24 hours were rough for the aliens. By hour 30, they were stumbling. Their eyes glazed over. Some started hallucinating. A Klixar began talking to a wall. A Vorgan fell asleep standing up and crashed face first into the ground. The humans were tired, sure, but they were functional. Taiho was still cracking jokes. Sora completed a marksmanship test with perfect accuracy at hour 36. Hyun organized their gear with steady hands. How? A small blue alien named Lixus whispered to Jiho during a break. Her species, the Luminar, were crystalline beings known for their intelligence. How are you still awake? We need 8 hours of sleep every cycle. Without it, we cannot function. Jiho considered his answer. Humans are persistence hunters. Our ancestors used to chase prey for days. Days. We'd run an animal until it collapsed from exhaustion, then we'd eat it. We evolved to keep going when everything in our body says stop. That's terrifying, Lixus said. By hour 48, only 70 recruits remained in the program. All 12 humans were still there. They were tired, yes. Their eyes were red. Their movements were slower. But they were coherent, functional, ready for more. Commander Kreeth called them to the assembly ground. He looked frustrated, angry even. You have completed the first week of training, he said. His voice was flat. I will admit that the humans have performed adequately, better than expected. Adequately. Jinho almost laughed. They'd outperformed almost every species there. But week 1 is the easy part, Kreeth continued. A nasty smile crossed his face. Week 2 begins tomorrow. We will see how well you handle real challenges. Rest tonight. You will need it. That night in their barracks, the human squad was quiet. Not from exhaustion, but from thought. They're going to target us now, Sora said. We've embarrassed them. Let them, Taiho replied. We can handle whatever they throw at us. Can we, though? Hyun asked. He was the youngest, the one with the least experience. What if they design something specifically to break humans? What if there's something we can't handle? Jinho stood up. Then we adapt. That's what humans do. We adapt. We survive. We endure. Earth tried to kill us with ice ages, plagues, predators, droughts, floods, and 1,000 other things. And we're still here. We didn't survive because we were the strongest or the fastest. We survived because we refused to give up. The others nodded. Outside, in his office, Commander Kreeth was making calls. He contacted the designers of the training program. Make week 2 harder, he ordered. Focus on the humans. Find their breaking point. They must have one. Every species does. But Kreeth had made a mistake. He assumed humans were like other species. He assumed they had been shaped by a normal world with normal challenges. He had no idea that Earth was anything but normal. And he was about to find out just how different humans could be. Week 3 arrived with dark clouds hanging over the training grounds. The number of recruits had dropped to 85. All 12 humans remained. Kreeth's frustration was visible to everyone now. He barely looked at the humans anymore, as if ignoring them might make them disappear. Today begins the toxin trial, Kreeth announced. His voice was cold. You will enter the poison forest. It is filled with spores from the Naxal plants. These spores cause disorientation, nausea, breathing difficulties, and extreme pain. You will wear minimal protective gear. Your task is to navigate through the forest and reach the extraction point on the other side. Distance, 15 kilometers. He paused, his yellow eyes gleaming. This trial has the highest failure rate. Most recruits cannot complete it. Many become violently ill. Some require extended medical treatment. If you feel you cannot handle this, quit now. There is no shame in recognizing your limits. 5 aliens stepped forward immediately. They'd rather quit than face the poison. Kreeth dismissed them without comment. The remaining recruits were given their gear, a basic breathing mask that filtered some of the spores, and protective clothing that covered most of their skin. But there were gaps. The neck, the hands, places where the spores could reach skin and enter the bloodstream. The forest loomed ahead. Even from outside, Jinho could see the purple mist hanging between the trees. The Naxal plants were everywhere, their leaves releasing clouds of spores with every breeze. Remember your training, Kreeth said. Move quickly but carefully. Don't touch the plants. Don't remove your masks. And if you start feeling sick, activate your emergency beacon. Medical teams will extract you." The recruits entered in groups. The humans went in together, staying close. The moment they crossed into the forest, Jinho felt the change. The air was thick, almost oily. Even through the mask, he could taste something bitter. Around them, the Naxal plants swayed. They were tall, with wide leaves that looked almost like hands. Every movement sent puffs of purple spores into the air. The mist was everywhere, impossible to avoid completely. They'd been walking for 10 minutes when the first alien collapsed. It was one of the Clixar, the insect-like species. Its antennae drooped, and it fell sideways, making terrible clicking sounds. A medical team appeared quickly, lifting the alien onto a stretcher. "Keep moving," Jinho ordered his squad. 5 minutes later, another alien went down. Then another. The Vorgans, so strong and proud, were particularly vulnerable. Their scales couldn't protect them from something they breathed in. Grath, the Vorgan who'd struggled with the run, was ahead of them. He was moving slowly, his body swaying. More aliens dropped. Some vomited inside their masks. Others simply stopped moving, their bodies shutting down as the toxins overwhelmed their systems. Medical teams were rushing everywhere, extracting fallen recruits. "I feel weird," Hyun said. His voice was tight. "My head is spinning." Yuna moved closer to him. "Keep your breathing steady. Short breaths. Your body can handle this." "Are you sure?" Hyun's face was pale behind his mask. "I'm sure," Yuna said. But she was watching him carefully. The thing was, humans had evolved on a world full of poisons. Bacteria, viruses, toxic plants, venomous animals. Humans had been fighting microscopic warfare since the beginning. Their livers were incredibly efficient at filtering toxins. Their immune systems were aggressive and adaptable. What was overwhelming to aliens was merely unpleasant to humans. They passed more fallen aliens. A Luminar was sitting against a tree, its crystalline body flickering weakly. 2 Vorgans were being carried out on stretchers. The proud warriors looked broken, defeated by an invisible enemy. Hyun was definitely sick. He stumbled and Taiho caught him. I don't feel good." "You can," Jinho said firmly. "Your body is processing the toxins. It's working. You're not going to die." "Feels like I might," Hyun muttered. But he kept walking. Grath appeared ahead of them, leaning against a tree. His scales had turned a sickly gray color. When he saw the humans, he tried to straighten up, but his legs wouldn't hold him. "Go! Ahead!" he wheezed. Yuna didn't hesitate. She moved to his side, pulling out her medical kit. "Not this time. Sit down before you fall down." "Why? Help? Me?" Grath's voice was barely a whisper. "Because that's what humans do," Yuna replied. She checked his vital signs, such as she could. "You're in bad shape. Your body is reacting strongly to the toxins." "So is mine," Hyun said weakly. "But I'm still walking." Grath stared at Hyun with confused eyes. "You are poisoned. But you continue." "Humans are stubborn," Taeho explained. He was supporting Hyun's other side. "Also, Earth is really good at trying to poison us. We've built up some resistance." They called for a medical team to extract Grath. As the Vorgan was loaded onto a stretcher, he kept staring at the humans. "Your world must be terrible." "You have no idea," Jinho said quietly. They continued through the forest. The purple mist grew thicker. More aliens fell. The sounds of suffering echoed through the trees. Medical beacons blinked everywhere, calling for help. Hyun was getting worse. His skin was pale and sweaty. He was mumbling under his breath, but he was still moving, one foot in front of the other. His body was fighting hard against the toxins, and slowly, it was winning. "Almost there," Sora said. She was scanning ahead with her trained eyes. "I can see the tree line." The forest was thinning. They were close. Behind them, Jinho could hear more medical teams rushing past, extracting more aliens. The toxin trial was living up to its reputation as the hardest challenge. They broke through the tree line into clear air. The extraction point was a large clearing with medical stations set up. Dozens of aliens were being treated, lying on cots connected to various machines. Some were unconscious, others were crying or making sounds of pain. The humans removed their masks. Jinho took a deep breath of clean air. His head hurt, and his stomach felt uneasy, but he was functional. Yuna looked tired, but steady. Taiho was fine. Sora showed no symptoms at all. Hyun collapsed as soon as they reached the medical station. Yuna caught him and lowered him to the ground. "Get a medic here!" An alien doctor rushed over. It was a small, six-legged creature with multiple eyes. It scanned Hyun with strange devices, its expression growing more confused with each reading. He's been poisoned," the doctor said in accented universal language. "But his body is fighting it off. I've never seen anything like this." "His liver function is extraordinary. His immune response is massive." "He'll be okay?" Yuna asked. "Yes. He just needs rest and fluids, but—" The doctor looked at all the humans. "You all entered the forest?" They nodded. "And you all made it through?" "Yes." The doctor's multiple eyes blinked in sequence. That's impossible. The toxin levels in that forest are calibrated to affect all known species. No one should be able to walk through it and remain functional." "We're humans," Jiho said simply. "We're from Earth." "Earth must be a nightmare world," the doctor muttered, going back to treating Hyun. Commander Kreeth appeared at the extraction point. He was doing a count. His face grew darker with each number. Over 50 aliens had been extracted from the forest. Many more had quit before even entering. Only 30 recruits had made it through. 12 of them were human. Kreeth walked over to where the humans were resting. He stared down at them, his massive form blocking the sun. "How?" he demanded. "The toxins should have incapacitated you. They incapacitate everyone." Jinho looked up at him calmly. "Our world has toxins too. Lots of them. We adapted." "No world has that many toxins," Kreeth said flatly. "Earth does," Yuna said. She was cleaning her medical equipment. "We have toxic plants, poisonous animals, deadly bacteria, aggressive viruses, and atmospheric pollutants. Our bodies learn to fight back. Our livers and immune systems are incredibly efficient because they had to be." Kreeth's expression was unreadable. Finally, he spoke. "The trial continues tomorrow. Different challenges." He walked away, but Jinho saw him pull out a communication device and start speaking rapidly into it. "He's scared," Sora observed. "He should be," Taiho said with a grin. "We're just getting started." That night, reports from Nexara Prime reached Earth. Human Military Command read them with satisfaction. Their soldiers were performing exactly as expected, because they knew something the Galactic Coalition was just beginning to understand. Earth wasn't just a planet. It was a testing ground, a brutal, unforgiving place that had shaped humanity into survivors. And now, those survivors were showing the galaxy what that really meant. Week 5 arrived with only 23 recruits remaining. 12 were human. The other 11 were a mix of species, the toughest and most stubborn aliens who'd refused to quit despite everything. Grath was among them, recovered from the toxin trial and more determined than ever. So was Chitrix, a Clixar who'd proven tougher than her delicate appearance suggested. Commander Kreeth stood before them with an expression that was hard to read. Anger, respect, fear, maybe all three. "You are the best of the best," he said. His voice was different now, less mocking, more serious. "You have survived what hundreds could not. Now comes the final crucible. 72 hours, non-stop. You will be placed in a hostile environment simulation, combat scenarios, Equipment failures, injuries, extreme weather, everything that can go wrong will go wrong. He paused, letting that sink in. You will work in mixed teams, humans and aliens together. Your objective is to complete a series of missions while surviving the environment. There are no breaks, no timeouts. For 3 full days, you will be tested in every way possible. The recruits were divided into 3 teams. Jinho's human squad was split up, placed with different aliens. Jinho himself was teamed with Grath and Chitrix. Yuna was with 2 other aliens. Taiho, Sora, and the others were similarly distributed. They were given basic equipment, weapons, rations, water, medical supplies, and communication devices. Then they were loaded into transport vehicles and taken to a massive dome on the far side of the training complex. Inside the dome was another world, artificial but realistic. Mountains, forests, rivers, and in the sky above, weather control systems that could create any condition imaginable. The simulation began in a desert. The heat hit them immediately, like walking into an oven. The sand reflected sunlight, making everything blindingly bright. Jinho checked his team. Grath looked uncomfortable, his scales absorbing too much heat. Chitrix's antennae drooped in the dry air. "Stay hydrated," Jinho ordered. "We need to reach Checkpoint Alpha." Their first mission was simple: cross 10 kilometers of desert and secure a supply cache. But nothing was ever truly simple in the Crucible. 2 kilometers in, artificial enemy drones appeared, firing stun rounds. Jinho's team took cover behind rocks. Grath returned fire with his heavy weapon, his aim surprisingly good despite the heat. Chitrix used her species' natural camouflage to sneak around and disable 3 drones from behind. "Good work," Jinho said. "Human training methods," Grath panted. "Learned from watching you. Never give up. Always adapt." They secured the supply cache, but the simulation immediately changed. The desert temperature dropped rapidly. Within minutes, they went from blazing heat to freezing cold. The sun disappeared, replaced by darkness and snow. "What is this?" Chitrix chittered, her body shaking. "My species cannot handle cold." Jinho pulled emergency blankets from the supply cache. "Wrap up. Stay moving. Your body will generate heat." But Chitrix was already shutting down. Her species, evolved on a hot jungle world, simply couldn't cope with extreme cold. Grath wasn't much better. His reptilian body was becoming sluggish, his movements slow. Meanwhile, Jinho was cold but functional. Humans were generalists. They'd spread across Earth from frozen tundras to scorching deserts. Their bodies could adapt to almost anything if given time. "I cannot continue," Chitrix whispered. "Yes, you can," Jinho said firmly. He positioned himself as a windbreak for her, sharing his body heat. "We don't leave anyone behind. That's the human way." Over the next 12 hours, the environment shifted constantly. Desert to tundra, mountains to swamps, day to night. Each change brought new challenges. Equipment began failing as programmed, weapons jammed, radios died, water supplies leaked. Jinho could hear other teams on the communication net. When it worked, they were struggling. Some aliens were panicking, others were arguing about what to do. But the human voices remained calm, giving orders, solving problems, adapting. By hour 24, 2 aliens had activated their emergency beacons and been extracted. By hour 36, 3 more were gone. The remaining recruits were exhausted, pushed to their absolute limits. Jinho's team received a new mission: rescue another team pinned down by enemy fire. They moved through a simulated urban environment, dodging drone attacks and navigating collapsed buildings. Grath was moving on pure willpower now, his body failing. Chitrix was barely conscious, carried on Jinho's back. They found the pinned team. It was Yuna and her 2 alien teammates. One alien was injured, according to the simulation rules. Yuna was treating him while returning fire at enemy drones. "We need to move," Jinho shouted. "He can't walk," Yuna replied. Jinho made a quick decision. "Grath, you and I carry him. Yuna, support Chitrix. Let's move." They fought their way out, 6 people moving as one unit. The simulation threw everything at them. Explosions, enemy fire, collapsing structures, environmental hazards, but they kept moving, kept fighting, kept surviving. Hour 48 arrived. Half the remaining recruits were gone now, extracted due to injuries or exhaustion or mental breakdown. Only 15 remained. All 12 humans were still there. Grath was still there, barely. Chitrix was still there, unconscious but alive. The other alien, a Luminar named Varix, approached Jinho during a brief lull. "Why?" he asked. "Why do you help us? You could move faster without us. You could complete the objectives easier. Why carry us?" Jinho looked at Chitrix on his back, then at Grath leaning against a wall, barely able to stand. "Because strength isn't about what you can do alone. It's about what you do together. We're a team. Teams don't abandon each other." "That is not the coalition way," Varix said. "Maybe it should be," Jinho replied. Hour 60 began. The simulation entered its final phase. The environment became a nightmare mix of everything: extreme heat and cold zones, toxic gas pockets, collapsing terrain, enemy forces from all sides, and to make it worse, the recruits were given a nearly impossible objective: secure 3 separate locations simultaneously while under heavy fire. The humans coordinated quickly. Despite being on different teams, they communicated constantly, working together even across distances. Jinho heard Taiho's voice on the radio, cracking jokes even though he sounded exhausted. Sora was calling out enemy positions with her usual precision. Yuna was keeping everyone's morale up. But the aliens were failing, not from lack of courage or skill. Their bodies simply couldn't continue. Grath's scales had turned completely gray. He collapsed and couldn't get up. Chitrix had stopped responding entirely. Varix was flickering weakly, his crystalline structure cracked from stress. "We need to abandon the objective," an alien team leader said over the radio. "We cannot continue." "No," Jinho said firmly. "We finish this. Together." "How? Half of us can barely move." "Then those who can move will carry those who can't. We're finishing this mission with everyone. That's an order." In the control room, Commander Kreeth was watching the monitors. Beside him were coalition observers from various species. They'd been watching the entire simulation. "The humans should abandon the failing aliens," one observer said. "It's the logical choice. They could complete the objectives easily without the burden." But Kreeth was watching Jinho's team. The human was carrying Chitrix on his back while supporting Grath with one arm, still firing his weapon with his free hand. Other humans were doing the same, carrying or supporting alien teammates while still fighting. "They're not going to abandon anyone," Kreeth said quietly. There was something in his voice, not anger, something else. Maybe wonder. Hour 72 approached. The final minutes of the simulation. Every remaining recruit was at their breaking point. Aliens were unconscious or barely functional. Humans were exhausted, moving on pure determination. But they were still moving, still fighting, still together. When the simulation ended, all 15 recruits were still in the field, battered, exhausted, some unconscious, but alive, together. In the control room, the coalition observers were silent. They'd watched something they couldn't quite understand: success through sacrifice, strength through compassion, victory through refusing to leave anyone behind. Commander Kreeth stood up slowly. His expression was unreadable. "Bring them in," he ordered. "All of them. They've earned it." The medical bay was full. Aliens lay on beds, connected to various machines, recovering from the crucible. Grath's scales were slowly returning to their normal green. Chitrix was conscious again, her antennae twitching weakly. Other aliens were being treated for exhaustion, dehydration, and stress-related injuries. The humans sat together in one corner. They looked tired, really tired. But they were alert, talking quietly, already recovering. Yuna was checking on her teammates, making sure everyone was okay. Taiho was eating something from a ration pack. Hyun was laughing about something with Jiho. Commander Kreeth entered the medical bay. The room fell silent. Everyone watched him. He'd been their tormentor for 5 weeks, the one who'd tried to break them. Now he stood there looking at the survivors. "You completed the crucible," he said. His voice was different, quieter. "All of you. Against all odds, you stayed together and finished." He walked slowly between the beds, looking at each recruit. When he reached Jinho, he stopped. "I need to understand something," Kreeth said. "You could have finished faster, easier, without carrying the others. Your team could have completed every objective with time to spare. But you chose to slow down, to help. Why?" Jinho stood up. He was shorter than Kreeth, smaller, weaker looking. But when he spoke, his voice carried authority. "Because that's what teams do. That's what humans do. We've learned that survival isn't about being the strongest individual. It's about being the strongest group. One human alone on Earth? Dead within weeks. Humans working together? We conquered a planet that tried to kill us every single day." "But the coalition doesn't work that way," Kreeth said. "Each species is ranked, measured, compared. The strong survive. The weak are left behind." "Then the coalition is doing it wrong," Yuna said. She'd stood up too. "We're not saying humans are better than other species. We're saying we've learned a different way, a way that values every member, not just the strongest ones." Grath spoke up from his bed. His voice was weak but clear. "I would have died in the toxin trial. The humans saved me. I would have failed in the crucible. They carried me. Why? I am Vorgan. We are proud. We are warriors. But we do not help the weak." "Maybe that's why so many of your people failed," Taiho said. Not meanly, just honestly. "Maybe if you helped each other instead of competing, more would have survived." Chitrix's antennae waved. "My people are scholars. We use our minds, not our bodies. I should have failed on day 1, but the humans taught me I was stronger than I thought. They pushed me, supported me, believed in me." Kreeth was quiet for a long moment. Then he asked the question that had been bothering him since the first day. "What kind of world creates species like you?" Jinho smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. "You want to know about Earth? Fine. I'll tell you." He walked to a window and looked out at Nexara Prime's peaceful landscape. "Earth has weather that can kill you. Hurricanes, tornadoes, blizzards, droughts, floods, earthquakes, volcanoes. The planet itself tries to kill us." "Most planets have weather," Kreeth said. "Earth has diseases," Jinho continued. "Thousands of them. Bacteria, viruses, parasites. Things so small you can't see them, but they can kill millions. We've had plagues that wiped out half our population. And we survived because our bodies learned to fight back." He turned to face Kreeth. "Earth has predators, animals with teeth and claws, venomous snakes, poisonous spiders, creatures that hunt us. And do you know what we did? We hunted them back. We ran them down over days, over weeks, until they collapsed from exhaustion." "And Earth has other humans," Yuna added quietly. "We fight each other. Wars, conflicts, for thousands of years. We've learned strategy, tactics, survival, all while fighting our own species." Sora spoke up from across the room. "Earth has extreme temperatures, from 50 degrees below zero to 50 degrees above, from deserts to ice caps, and humans live everywhere. We adapted. We survived." "Your training was hard for the other species," Jiho said. "For us, it was Tuesday. We've been training since the day we were born. Every breath on Earth is training. Every meal. Every day of survival." Kreeth looked shaken. Your world is classified as a garden world, breathable atmosphere, liquid water, comfortable temperature range. It's supposed to be easy. Then your classification system is broken, Jinho said flatly. Earth is a death world, maybe not in the obvious ways, not acid rain or lava or vacuum, but in 1,000 small ways, 1,000,000 constant threats. And humans didn't just survive, we thrived. We spread across the entire planet. We built civilizations, and then we reached for the stars. Because we were bored, Taiho added with a grin. We'd conquered Earth, needed a new challenge. Commander Kreeth sat down heavily on one of the medical beds. He looked older suddenly, tired. The Coalition has been wrong about humans, about Earth, about everything. Yes, Jinho said simply. I tried to break you. I designed challenges specifically to target human weaknesses. I wanted you to fail. We know. And you succeeded anyway. No, not just succeeded. You excelled. You helped others succeed. You changed the nature of the test itself. Kreeth looked up at the humans. I don't know if I should thank you or fear you. Thank us, Yuna said gently. We're not here to conquer. We're here to help, to learn, to work together. Your species saved mine during the Crucible, Grath said from his bed. Vorgans are proud, but we are not stupid. I see now that we have been thinking about strength wrong. You humans have a different kind of strength, a strength that makes others stronger. Over the next few days, news from Nexara Prime spread across the galaxy. The human squad that survived everything. The training program that couldn't break them. The species that chose compassion over victory. The Coalition held emergency meetings. Old classifications were reviewed. Earth's status was changed from Garden World to Class 13 Death World with a notation: exercise extreme caution. Native species exhibits extraordinary resilience and adaptation. Training programs across Coalition space began to change. They started incorporating human methods, teamwork, support. The idea that a group was stronger than any individual. On the final day, there was a graduation ceremony. 15 recruits stood at attention. 12 humans, 3 aliens. Behind them stood hundreds of Coalition officials watching. Kreeth stood at the podium. These recruits have completed the most difficult training program in Coalition history. They have proven themselves worthy of serving in the Galactic Defense Force, but more than that, they have taught us something important. He paused, looking at each recruit. They have taught us that strength comes in many forms, that compassion is not weakness, that helping others does not diminish your own achievement. These are lessons the Coalition has forgotten, if we ever knew them. He turned to Jinho. Captain Jinho, your squad performed beyond all expectations. What do you have to say? Jinho stepped forward. He looked at his team, at the aliens who'd become their friends, at the galaxy that had underestimated them. Humanity is honored to join the Coalition. We bring our strength, our endurance, and our determination, but more importantly, we bring our willingness to help, to teach, to lift others up, because that's what humans do. We don't leave anyone behind. Ever. The ceremony ended with cheers. Grath and Chitrix asked to be permanently assigned to human units. Other aliens requested human instructors. Requests poured in from across the galaxy for humans to help train Coalition forces. That night, Jinho and his squad sat together under Nexara Prime's twin moons, looking up at the stars. We did it, Hyun said. He'd grown so much in 5 weeks, stronger, more confident. We did, Jinho agreed. What happens now? Sora asked. Now? Jinho smiled. Now we show the galaxy what humanity really is. Not conquerors, not warriors, but survivors, helpers, friends. And if they try to test us again? Taiho asked. Then we do what we always do. Yuna said. We endure, we adapt, we survive, and we help everyone else do the same. Above them, the stars shone bright, and somewhere among those stars was Earth, the little death world that had created a species strong enough to change a galaxy. Not through force, not through conquest, but through something much more powerful, through refusing to give up, and refusing to let others give up either. That was the human way, and the galaxy was better for it.